Consider This with Carol Schrader is made possible with support from Bass & Associates, First Data Resources, and by Nebraskans for Public Television. Consider This with Carol Schrader, a news and information program recorded on the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. From the Lee and Helene Sapp Fieldhouse, here is your host, Carol Schrader.
Hello and welcome once again to Consider This. We're going to have a fun show today about something that's going to bring a lot of fun and entertainment to Omaha, I am certain. Meet my guest. Jim Klimschott is the majority stockholder and manager of, you may not have heard of it too much, but it's going to be the big thing, the Omaha Beef. Welcome to Omaha.
Thanks, Carol. It's great to be here, and we're having a lot of fun.
And then, of course, his compatriot here is, well, they've seen him a few times here at UNO, former UNO football coach and now head coach of the Omaha Beef, Sandy Buda.
Thank you, Carol.
It's great to see you again.
Well, thank you. I'm really looking forward to this season and this new challenge Jim's given me an opportunity to be a part of.
The one thing I'm happy about is that this indoor football, which is what we're talking about, is still going to have a football and helmets and players, because with UNO hockey, I had to learn a new sport. But there are some new things, and we'll talk about that later. But first, the story of how you ended up in Omaha, both you and the franchise, of which there are, what, 8 now in this particular league.
That's right.
Is kind of interesting.
Well, I've been involved in sports for some 20 years now, Carol, and had looked for about the last 10 years with a group of other investors to purchase a minor league team in whatever sport.
You got the bug bad.
We fell in love with indoor football, and it was my responsibility with the group to find the cities. And we looked at cities all throughout the United States. One of our investors is a native Nebraskan, grew up in Norfolk, University of Nebraska graduate, and a former Omahan. And he now lives in Georgia, where I was living at the time, and he said we have to look at Omaha. And he asked a question, because I gave him a quizzical look about Omaha. He says, you know where Omaha is, don't you? And you know all about Omaha. And I said, well, I grew up watching Wild Kingdom. So I know all about Omaha. But we came here and did our due diligence. We met with the folks in the mayor's office. We met with the folks at the arena. We met with the folks down at the chamber. And I immediately fell in love with it. I mean, the people are great. The economy is booming. Great fan base. And most importantly, regionally, we have great players to draw from all the great universities around the Midwest.
When all the teams in this particular, there are how many leagues in indoor football?
Right now there are 4 leagues, very analogous to what minor league hockey was about 10 years ago. And the growth and the popularity of the indoor football game is like hockey was, where they start out with a few leagues, now they have over 10 minor leagues throughout the country. And that's where we are, a few years behind. There are now 4 leagues. Our league is the Indoor Professional Football League, or the IPFL, and we're in our 3rd season, and we are the 2nd oldest indoor league in the country.
You're obviously not in the biggest cities because you're minor league in a sense. It's not quite the same sport as the major league, but so how do you know that fan base is going to be there when you move into a town that might be oversaturated with sports for its size?
I think that's the $64,000 question. It's like any business making any decision to go into any market to open up a factory, a store, or a sporting event, which is basically entertainment for us. You look at all the variables. And like we were mentioning earlier, what Omaha has is a booming economy, not an oversaturation in sports like a lot of cities have, a great fan base. I mean, our population in the 5-county Omaha area is over 700,000 people. And and you didn't have to convince anyone that the most knowledgeable sports fans are right here in Nebraska, and some of the best players are too. So it really came back to a business decision, and when it's all said and done and you spit everything out, it's still a little bit of a roll of the dice, but we got lucky on this one. We got lucky with a great coach, we got lucky with great fans sort of supporting us with season ticket support, and a lot of corporations right here in Omaha have gotten behind the Beef in our 1st year.
Now, from what I've read, you didn't, I guess, this is a decision based on how much money a team has when it comes into town and the investors, but you attempted not to set yourself up short.
From a business standpoint?
Right.
Oh yeah, we had to make sure.
I'm sure teams have done that in the past.
It's true, and again, to make the analogy to any business, whether you're opening up a widget factory or any kind of business, the number one mistake that any entrepreneur will make is they'll undercapitalize.
Right.
So we, even though there was all this enthusiasm coming in when we announced we were going to have a team and people are saying, boy, this is going to be exciting, we had to make sure as business people that we weren't going to catch ourselves short and be too optimistic about the fan base and the
Yeah, we've
corporate
got to
support.
fill this whole
Yeah.
a civic auditorium right away. I know they're super secret numbers, but how are the sales going? Are you
Oh,
happy?
sales are going great. No, they're not super secret numbers. We've sold some 3,000 season tickets with our corporate sponsors and our season ticket base. The walk-up sales to date, a week plus before the first game, have been very solid down at the Civic, and we anticipate that to really pick up and the momentum to pick up. Depending on who you talk to in the office pools down at the Civic Auditorium, our office, our estimates are anywhere between 5,000 for the first game and 8,000 for the first game. And I'll tell you, if we get 5,000 for the first game, that will exceed my expectations. And I think that enthusiasm is going to grow throughout the season once the people see the product that Coach Buddha is going to put on the field.
Well, just as a point of information, before we proceed forward, if you feel compelled, after you see this show, to sit up, and ponder more things about Omaha beef, you can get on your World Wide Web. And they're going to show you the address. It's www.beeffootball, that's 2 F's in the middle there, .com. So we just wanted to give you a plug on that.
Thank you.
So people can see. Sandy, well, first, did you happen to see him on Wild Kingdom when you were a youngster? Is that how you first became
But the hair
familiar?
was different. The hair was different. The dress was different, so I didn't recognize him at the time.
I think he wore that coat.
I think he was the one going out in the jungle to wrestle the tigers and bring them back out.
You're the coach. I mean, and Omaha, I think, is so excited to see you back because not only were you, the winningest coach here at UNO, but that sort of panache that you brought to the sidelines. But you got to win. I mean, you've got to put together a team, which you've done. Tell us how it's looking and why you think that you're really going to put a first year is a big responsibility. You can ask folks here at UNO that just put out a hockey deal. Where you stand?
Well, first of all, I'm excited that my batteries have been recharged. I stayed out of coaching for a while, then I've gotten back in as a volunteer at Omaha Creighton Prep the last 4 years. And when Jim gave me the opportunity to get back on a sideline, I'm a coach. I need a sideline, and this game is a different game. It's created some unique challenges for Chuck Osberg and Herman Colvin and the rest of the staff to learn this game.
Your old crew.
That's right. I was very fortunate to have guys like the six that are helping me join the Beef. We think we got a chance to have a good football team, an exciting team. The ingredients in this game are speed, number one. Speed is a factor that really isn't as much in the 11-man game as it has to be in the 8-man game, and that's how many players are on a team when the ball's snapped. So I think we'll be very competitive in that area. I think we'll put a product out on the field that the fans will enjoy. It's local talent predominantly, and I think they'll enjoy that also. We wanted to live with the local talent this year and see how it does, and I think that draws fans and interest back into your team and into the seats in the Civic Auditorium. We currently have about 16 players from the metropolitan area that fans are familiar with, along with about 14 other people who played at Tulsa University, the Air Force Academy, and places like that. So I think it's a diverse number of athletes that the people that come to the ball games will enjoy and remember seeing through their high school and college days. So I'm looking forward to it.
Let's get down to some basics. When you have a full complement of a team, let's say in a regular football team, you have to have X number of players, because you have to have backup and bench strength. There's how many players on the field at one time from one team?
Eight on a field.
What do you need for backup? I mean, what's a full complement for a team?
Basically, you're allowed to have 30 players on a roster with 23 that are allowed to be suited up each ball game and 7 on kind of a practice squad. So a total of 30. So it doesn't leave you a lot of players to deal with on the sidelines and at practice situations, but it's enough to have a very exciting game on Fridays and Saturday nights.
Okay. They obviously have a football. They have 2 teams on opposite sides. They snap the ball. Do they still do that? Mm-hmm. I mean, let me visualize. Give me some visual images of what I would see if I came to the first Omaha Beef in terms of it's faster. What else is different?
Well, you're going to have fireworks before the game, number one.
Oh,
and
right
smoke
on.
And the light
Right
show
on. So
and
I
all
don't
that,
have to follow the
and all
ball during the
music.
fireworks.
No, you're going to have fun if you've never been to a football game, but he can tell you about how the game's played.
Well, the big difference is the size of the field, number one. It's 50 yards long,
Right.
28 yards wide. The second thing that's a big difference is the fact that in regular football you can only have one man in motion. In the indoor game, we can have 3 players in motion at once. They can be lateral across the formation or at the line of scrimmage.
They can't go in front of the line.
They can get a running start, Carol, from 5 yards back, and if they time it just right, when the ball's snapped, they're at the line of scrimmage running full speed. So that's where the speed factor comes in. If you've got some fast guys, they're hitting the line of scrimmage at full pace, and it's really tough to cover them defensively. The third big difference is the fact that in this game you don't punt on 4th down. You kick a field goal because you're close enough with a 50-yard field that on 4th down you might be able to kick a 45 or 40-yard field goal and get points on the board. The fourth difference is in the kicking game we force returns. In other words, when you kick off from your own goal line, that kicker does not want to kick it out of the end zone like you do in college and pro football. He has to kick it in the field of play and force a return. If he kicks it into the stands, the ball comes out to midfield, the 25-yard line. So it's a game
So you
in
haven't
which
accomplished anything.
that's right. So in this game, you're going to see a lot of kickoff returns. You're
So
going
your
to see
kicker is real important. I mean, not that it's not important
Oh, yeah.
elsewhere in football, but I mean, the kicker is key, is real part of the offense.
definitely is, and we have, I think, 2 young men that are
Or
very
defense.
very good kickers. Craig Foreman's a young man that kicked at Northwestern University in the Big Ten. He's an investment broker here in Omaha, so he knows how to handle pressure situations.
I guess.
And another man, a young man named Jeff Kearns, are 2 kickers, and I think they're doing what we want them to do: keep the ball in play and give us an opportunity to make a long field goal. There's a lot of points scored in this game, Carol. Defense, you got to hang on by your britches and hope that your offense can outscore the defense. I think fans like to see a lot of touchdowns and a lot of points on the board. It makes it an interesting game.
You know, this is an analogy that you may take in a bad way, but to me it isn't, because I would come to watch your game even though I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool football fan. I like the drama. I like to watch the people I know play, which I hope to get to know your players once again. But I remember when I was out here at UNO and they had the Pep Bowl and they had flag football on a regular basis. It was a smaller field. People went crazy. They were people, you know, they were all over the place. It was a little more wide open kind of fun game. And I'm not saying you're flag football, but you know what I mean? It's, in a sense, more intimate. And, you know, we'll be more invested maybe in the players off the bat.
You're right. And to illustrate that point, if you think of the Civic Auditorium with 8,200 seats, and you think of Memorial Stadium with, I don't know, 70, 80,000 seats, the top row at the Civic Auditorium is some 30 rows from the field. Can you imagine going to a college or pro football game in the NFL and sitting 30 rows from the field? You'd think you're on top of the action. Here, that's the farthest seat away from the benches. So literally, people are sitting right on the end line. The end line is 1 foot from the first row. People, when the ball gets thrown into the stands on an incomplete pass, the fans get to keep the ball. There's constant action. The clock doesn't stop between plays, so the players are up to the line of scrimmage a lot faster. It's just non-stop, fast-paced football for the whole evening, and it's just a lot of fun.
Wait a minute, the clock doesn't stop. When do they have commercials if you're ever broadcast?
Wait, that's when
This is
we score
very
so many
important.
touchdowns.
Oh, okay, that's
when
right.
We stop.
Oh,
We
okay.
score so many touchdowns.
So there's never any-
Or he says we're going to score so many touchdowns.
Okay, now this is one of the dumber questions of the year, and we're only at the end of March. What do they play on? I mean, this is an auditorium, folks. You know, they've got ice under there, or they had ice at one time.
I'll let him answer that. He's got to pay for it.
As long as it shows up by next Friday, we're going to play on AstroTurf. If not, we're going to knit a bunch of quilts together and paint them green. No, it's AstroTurf.
There's a lot of old ladies that could crochet those granny squares in bright green.
Quite a few we'll need. No, it's AstroTurf. It's the real AstroTurf, and it's being laid next weekend, or excuse me, in the middle of next week. And it would be sooner, but there's so many events going down at the Civic Auditorium that it takes a few days to put the turf down, paint the lines, paint the logos on the field, give them time to dry. So we need a good 48-hour plus time
yeah.
block, and we just haven't been able to get that down at the Civic because of all the activities and shows they have going on.
So then it will be like the ice where everything will be on top of it.
Imagine a hockey rink where they take the ice out, leave the boards up, put AstroTurf down. There's only 1 foot along the whole outside of it that's out of bounds. The rest is in bounds. And then the boards have pads on them that are 3 inches thick. And when a player goes out of bounds, he hits the boards.
What about, you know, the traction? I mean, Is this, I'm not a football fan, but you have to have, they hurt themselves when they don't have a push there.
This is the same material that University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and Omaha had on their surface playing field for about 15 years prior to the new turf that UNL just put down a year ago. It's AstroTurf, so it does have a plastic grass, and then underneath it a padding, a black padding of kind of a foam rubber that does give you enough.
But it's still pretty dense, so
yes.
that you can be sure-footed.
Any outdoor field that has artificial turf is laid on top of blacktop or cement and gravel. So it's a hard surface, and really, other than the padding and then the turf that you see, right underneath that is a hard surface like a paved surface.
So there's no difference in terms of how it would feel to a player that's played on the other.
That's correct. That's correct.
Well, what is the, so we've got a week to buy our tickets for the first game, and we're all excited, and we're going to get there, and you say we're going to see fireworks, and we're going to see a lot of action, and we're going to see people and names we know. I've got one right here. Are we going to be excited enough to come back and back and back? I mean, what is it about indoor football that they found in the other markets that is keeping fans there with all the competition from not necessarily even sports, but we've got golf season coming up, and we've got all kinds of things. You don't play golf at night, but we have a lot of competition for the leisure time.
It's affordable family entertainment, for one. You're not paying the prices that you pay to go to major league sporting events like the NFL or the NBA or the NHL hockey, so it's affordable entertainment. It's players that people are going to recognize from their days here at UNO and UNL and the other colleges around the Midwest. It's football. People are going to love football. And it's all the excitement about it. In addition to the fireworks, it's the giveaways. We're going to give away a car on the first night, hopefully, if someone can kick a field goal. We're going to give away a year's worth of ice cream, hopefully. The Nebraska Beef Council is going to sponsor a giveaway and throw a football through a big T-bone cutout steak. All those kind of things. We're going to give away little foam footballs to the first 2,000 fans under the age of 14. We're going to have the mascot. We're going to have the female dance team. We're going to have the male dance team, which is the Rump Roasters, which I know, Carol, is one of your favorites. And while all that's going on, we're going to have a football game break out in the field. And we hope that after 2.5 hours of entertainment, the 8-year-olds and the 80-year-olds and everybody in between is walking out into the street outside the Civic, and they're saying, wow, what a fun time, and yeah, we won, and wasn't it great, and when's the next game?
And you've probably recognized the fact that in the indoor football has, in fact, all of sports. You go to a hockey game here in town, whether it's the Lancers or the Mavs, that they try to keep you engaged in, because we're a TV generation. If we don't like it, we click, They try to keep you engaged. And little kids who don't understand football, you can bring them and they'll still, I only have to wait a little longer till something more exciting happens. I mean,
right.
It's marketing, it's the way we are today. We just expect something. But the whole family can go. What does it cost to get a decent seat for a game?
For as little as $10, you can sit about 20 rows up at the Civic Auditorium. And we have 5 different price levels, and down on the field is our most expensive seat, which is $36. Compare that to the National Hockey League, where the average ticket price is over $40 for the average ticket price. And our highest price seat is under that, and most of our seats, in fact, 25% of the Civic Auditorium is on sale for $10.
Well, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, we think so.
When you're going out in the community, Sandy, you've been able to gauge local sports interest before, and granted this is new. How do you feel walking around? I know people will come up to you and are very excited for you, but how are you gauging it?
The way I gauge it, the only gauge I have is how it was when I was walking around as a UNO coach, getting ready for the first ball game each season, and now with the Beef, and it's 5 times magnified. I think because of a new sport, a different game, a new thing in town, I've gotten responses from doctors, lawyers, and janitors that all seem to have a common interest. Hey, I want to see it. I want to see what it's like. I'm going to be there. I differ from Jim. We're going to have 8,200 people there come April 7th. We're probably going to have jam. They better buy their tickets early because I'll tell you what, I think just like here at UNO when we played opening game every year, we had capacity crowds, and that's going to happen next day, Friday night, April 7th.
How does your playbook differ from, the X's and O's that you do in regular football?
Well, the biggest difference, and that's a good question, because in this game, as I mentioned,
You have fewer X's and O's, I know.
fewer X's and O's. But the big change in this game, as I mentioned earlier, was the fact that you have 3 people that can
Right.
be in motion at once. It might be 3 receivers, it might be 2 receivers and a running back. But when people watch this ball game, this type of game, they see, for instance, 3 receivers running full speed at the line of scrimmage, timing it just right, that when the ball snapped, they're at full speed, and then all of a sudden, like somebody fired a gun at a bunch of covey of quail, they just all of a sudden split up and go in different directions, and the defense has to pick that up and be able to cover them. So there's movement going all the time in the game, and I think the fans will really enjoy that. That's been the biggest challenge, is to see how you try to cover those guys, and on offense, how you try to use that dilemma that the defense has to score points.
Okay, now in regular football, I mean, I can't name. You have plays, your formations like wishbone and that, and you've got players' names like I-backs and running backs and all that stuff. And are there different names for the positions, and are any of the plays similar? Do they have similar names, or do you just get a whole new playbook and just start learning new names?
There are similar plays. Basically, in this game, the people that you drop out of the regular formations that most people are used to seeing in the 11-man game is basically you drop 2 offensive tackles and a fullback. Everybody else seems to be just about in the regular spots. Yes, you use some different formations where you line up 3 people over here and nobody over here. Sometimes you put everybody up on the line of scrimmage, and we say everybody at Calhoun go out for a pass.
But that's kind of exciting in a
yes,
way.
it
I
is.
mean, I've always been intimidated because I didn't, I grew up watching Friday night fights, and that's about it in my family. My dad liked it, but I mean, girls didn't get interested in
Oh,
sports.
South Omaha.
Right, yeah, and I'm dang proud of it.
Betcha.
And I would normally be intimidated to learn a new sport, but this sounds like it's manageable for me to learn, even as sort of a sports novice. And that with the pent-up demand for football, I'm getting the feeling that it'd be more fun for me than intimidating to, kind of pick up on all this new jazz.
I think so, because I think as the average fan, they quickly learn. Whether you grew up with football or grew up in, overseas, you can quickly learn that when the guy carries the ball across this line, the team scores and everybody cheers.
Okay, I can do
Since
that.
there's going to be so much of that in this game, you'll quickly learn that, hey, if he can catch the ball and run with it, or if he can get the ball handed off to him and run with it and get across that goal, boy, they cheer and the spotlights go all
But
throughout.
it's a guy thing. You got to be able to know the nuances so you can show off to the guy that's sitting next to you with the beer in his hand. Come on. It's a guy thing.
It's a great date night, though, because guys feel comfortable going to a football game more so than a lot of other events they might have to take women to.
Because everybody's on the same plane starting out.
And women in this part of the country that I've been around,
their
they know their football. So I think it's a great date night. It's a great family fun night. It's great for everybody.
The future of indoor football, it's looking pretty good for being a relatively new adjunct to other football.
Yeah, I think so. Just our league, I know in our league office, they spend more than half their time taking applications and requests from other cities for new franchises. And we have a very conservative business plan and structure laid out prior to letting anyone join the league. I mean, you have to show financial stability, you have to show some experience in management of a team, you have to have a great marketing plan put together, the market itself has to be right. And from east to west, from New Jersey all the way out to Arizona and New Mexico now, and the Pacific Northwest, we've got applications in from all over the country for franchises for the coming season in 2001.
You're playing in a time of the year where the other football is over, and obviously there is a feeling that there's a pent-up demand for football because people love it, and they're starting to go through heavy withdrawals about this time of the year, and they're getting excited for spring football. At Nebraska, so is there a saturation in football? I mean, we've got the World Wrestling Federation, for goodness sakes, coming out with, what is the XFL?
That's right.
How is this all going to play out, so to speak?
I don't know. The fans keep coming up to you on the streets. They're excited. It's a
I don't mean
football
here in
town.
Omaha, but I mean in terms of how many young males can you attract to the television? And what about television for the future? I mean, do you guys obviously you're not going to be maybe on national TV because minor leagues tend to play local. Do you think that there's going to be the interest in these towns to maybe have a minor league network so that people or towns are more apt to broadcast them locally on cable or whatever?
I know we're going to have 2 of our home games on cable this year.
Well, that's exciting.
And I know the league is negotiating with an upstart cable company called the Football Network, which is analogous to the Golf
Football
Channel,
Network, of
which
course.
is 24-hour golf. And they're
Why did
trying
it
to
take so long?
they're trying to get kicked off out of Los Angeles, and they want to put our games on nationally. You know, and that's something that will grow. 8-10 years ago when the Golf Channel started, it had a very small viewer base. Now it's one of the most popular cable stations out there among the golfers, and the Football Network could be the same thing. So we're going to grow. I think if you come back and talk to us in 5 years and 10 years, I think you're going to be amazed at where we are then versus where we started today.
You mentioned they've been in sports and sports promotion for 20 years. You played, you were a basketball coach, you were involved with the PGA, did a lot of marketing. Obviously, you have the bug. Sandy's never gotten rid of the bug. There are a lot of people that have, sports have been a huge part of their family that are sitting around Omaha. Maybe they're not going to play on one of these teams, but they just can't get it out of their system. Do you think that those are going to be some of the people that you suck in?
I think so. Those are the people I'm talking to as I walk down the street and speak at civic clubs and stop at stop signs. I think this has a general interest, as I mentioned, from doctors and lawyers down to the local janitor. It's something people can identify. The price is right, as Jim mentioned. The other thing I think that's important is that the period of time from April through the middle of August, basically it's the Omaha Golden Spikes and us that have the sports market going, and that's it. Everything else is pretty much shut down until fall football starts in September. So I think it's an excellent time of the year. The fact that we don't have to worry about the elements, the air conditioning at the Civic Auditorium will be great for fans to sit in and watch games, and you don't have to worry about the elements. I told our kickers the biggest decision we'll have to make is when we flip the coin whether or not we'll take the air conditioning.
That's very, I had to think about that for, you get it on either side, don't you?
Yes.
I want to thank you,
Not
gentlemen.
the cheap seats.
I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being here and making just a fun time for me. And I'm looking forward to it, and I will buy my opening night ticket. I'm proud to be a paying customer your opening night. Jim Klimshot, who's running this whole shebang called the Omaha Beef, and Sandy Budin. Of course, you can find out more, www.beeffootball.com. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
And thank you for joining us on Consider This.
Consider This with Carol Schrader is made possible with support from Bass & Associates and First Data Resources.